We all love the first one, but the second movie sucked. Trying to catch lightning in a bottle, 2 times takes a lot of luck. Brian, Tim, and Dave are watching movies that are lame. These are the sequels that aren't equal.
Hello and welcome to our brand new show, Sequels That Aren't Equal, the show that looks at major motion pictures that were well loved, that got follow-up movies that, well, fell short. This is a brand new show. We're going to be broadcasting on both YouTube or podcasting. So if you found us on YouTube and want to also listen to us on Spotify or Stitcher or wherever, please look for us there, and vice versa. If you're finding us on a podcast, we are also available on YouTube. We are very excited because this is our first show. So let us take a moment and introduce ourselves. Hey, I'm Brian.
I'm David.
Oh, hey, first names only, I'm Tim.
Yeah, we have to maintain our anonymity.
I want stalkers, though.
Yeah, we don't
There's a lot of clout. When you look like me, you kind of want a stalker, see what it feels like. You know,
we don't need internet.
people normally walk away from me, not follow me anyways, you know? So please, I want a stalker. If I got to pay for it, I'll do it. You know, somebody send me some info on Fiverr, how I can get a stalker.
I'm sure you can find someone to stalk you on Fiverr for a very reasonable price. Okay, so I had printed out the rules for Sequels That Aren't Equal. So since this is our very first show, we're going to do a little bit of place setting about what the show is, what it's about. Obviously, we're talking about sequels that aren't equal, but we do have rules for what we are and aren't going to cover. Today's episode is Caddyshack II, a very terrible movie. We're going to get to it in a minute. But just so you know what the show is, so Sequels That Aren't Equal, 1, the original must be a beloved major motion picture, okay? So no indie films. This is going to be big movies that came out and people enjoyed them. 2, the sequel must take place in the same universe and feature at least one returning character from the original, although that character may be played by a different actor. They usually are. 3, no reboots or remakes unless it's a soft reboot and it follows rule number 2. So, for example, Ghostbusters 2016 would not qualify because it's not in the same universe as Ghostbusters 1, but Ghostbusters Afterlife would. The sequel in question must not be equal to the original, obviously, it's right there in the title. And it does not have to be a number 2. It could be a number 3 or more. So like in the case of Terminator, where Terminator 2 was actually better than the original, but then Terminator 3 and the rest fall off the cliff. So that is our place setting. Sequels That Aren't Equal. Welcome to the show. We're very excited to have you. This is our first ever YouTube show. We're very green at this. So, all right, let's talk Caddyshack, people. Caddyshack. And let's start talking the original Caddyshack. Young Dave, you've got some place setting for that.
Yeah. So Caddyshack came out 1980, directed by Harold Ramis, written by Harold Ramis, and Brian, oh, where's it going?
I have covered it. Here we go. I got too many notes.
All right, yeah. So Caddyshack 1980, directed by the Harold Ramis, written by Harold Ramis as well, Brian Doyle Murray, Bill Murray's brother, and Douglas Kenny. So budget was $6 million, box office worldwide $39 million. It's not bad. And then of course grew from there.
Yeah, on home video, certainly. That was a movie that definitely grew on home video. So what is our relationship to the original Caddyshack? Tim, you go first. Where'd you find it? Where'd you see it? What'd you think of it?
Probably somewhere through a cousin, probably HBO, rental. Had to be one of the first times I watched it. As a young kid, you fall in love with the gopher first, and then as you get older, a lot of things get better, especially my favorite character, Lacey Underalls. She was really my favorite part of the original Caddyshack. I'm very heartbroken. She's nowhere to be seen in Caddyshack Part 2. Of course, we got some wormholes we can go down, some branches we can take later on in the show. I just want to say right now, if you missed out on anybody, it's Dangerfield or Lacey Underalls in the sequel, but everything was banger top to bottom in the first one. I think it's one of the top 10 comedies of all time, maybe even the top 3, number 1, slap shot, major league, as far as comedies that deal with sports. It's definitely in that conversation. So from top to bottom, I love Caddyshack 1. It's a classic. And it's a shame that Caddyshack 2 exists.
Very
It's a blight. It's a blight on the original.
Oh yeah, black eye by a mile.
Well, okay, so I also saw it in the 80s, also as a very young child. I think everyone who saw Caddyshack 1 as a young child, like you said, first, the gopher, right? Like, I immediately latched onto the gopher. 2, Caddyshack had very big performances that, like, as a kid you find funny, right? Rodney Dangerfield, Ted Knight's very big, Bill Murray's playing very big. So, like, almost like cartoonish performances that I think I must have seen this as like a 10-year-old, to be honest. My older
Good age to
brother-
watch it. Yeah. good
Yeah,
age.
my older brother, rented it from Video Time, the mom and pop video shop down the street that got, of course, crushed when Blockbuster came out. And then of course, boobs, right? So like as a 10-year-old, this was one of my first times ever seeing boobs. I thought they were magical. I thought they were wonderful. So yeah, it had all of these things that as a 10-year-old boy blew my mind. I loved this film. Dave, how old were you when you saw this?
Actually, I don't think I saw it until high school.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this
Like a more appropriate age.
yeah, right. Yeah, so
So you're like, who's this corny gopher?
exactly. All right, it's probably high school. Initially because Bill Murray fan, of course, grew up in Ghostbusters. So for me, it's Bill Murray film. I want to say, yeah, I went through a phase where I had to catch up on Stripes and what was that, Meatballs?
I was gonna say, yeah, he's in Meatballs, right?
Meatballs, Stripes, like Animal House, like those 80s. I didn't really see those till high school age. Right. Of course, yeah. For me, Bill Murray was the best part of it. Was Bill Murray.
Yeah, all those movies that you kind of talked about right there were actually all written by Harold Ramis. So he was very much into like that kind of anarchy. Am I saying that word right?
Sure.
Anarchistic comedies, very much kind of like class warfare, where you've got like the plucky middle class people against like the rich, snobs, and giving them comeuppance. So that was like kind of a reoccurring theme. We also see that in Caddyshack. One thing doing the research for this show that I was not surprised to see, because it makes total sense watching it. So Bill Murray, Brian Murray, and Harold Ramis were all caddies as teens. And so the genesis of this movie was just kind of them writing about like their experiences as caddies. And I actually rewatched Caddyshack getting ready for this right after watching Caddyshack
clean the
2.
palate for
I
sure.
did, yeah. I watched
Clean that
Caddyshack.
palate.
I watched Caddyshack 2 for the show and then immediately watched Caddyshack 1. And like I had forgotten how much Caddyshack 1 takes place in the Caddyshack, right? Like the caddies are a very big part of Caddyshack.
Yeah.
More than I remember, because, as I remembered, of course you remember, like I said, the big 3 performances, Murray, Knight, and Chase, and Dangerfield. So those 4 are the, performances you remember.
One's on the poster.
Yeah, and you kind of forget, oh yeah, there's actually quite a bit of caddies, them, banging in the clubhouse and taking drugs and doing all this, hijinks, swimming in the pool and doing all these things. And those were kind of the stories that were the genesis of Caddyshack. And then, of course, once they started filming the movie, Bill Murray, he was actually originally supposed to be a silent role.
Yeah, like a Marx Brothers style. Yeah.
And then he started doing that crazy, character that he eventually developed. And it was so big that they shot him out, and then as they were kind of developing the film, they brought him back later for additional shoots because they're like, this character's gold. So anyway, that was Caddyshack. Big success. We loved Caddyshack. And then came Caddyshack 2. So the story of Caddyshack 2, Dave.
So it came out in 1988, and I know that the producers were like, "The Shack is back, guys. The Shack is back." And Harold Ramis was like, "No, it's terrible. Like, just let it be." But they were bugging him for it, and it was going to be Rodney Dangerfield's vehicle, and so they initially had got him, and so he was going to be the star. And initially, he wanted to do it. I think he ended up leaving for like Back to School.
So he did Back to School, and it was a huge success. And that's when Warner Brothers is like, we want to be in the Rodney Dangerfield business. So they came to him and they were like, hey, Rodney, what do you want to do next? And he was pushing for Caddyshack. So yeah, he wanted to do Caddyshack, and then they approached Harold Ramis, and he's like, this is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely not to a sequel to Caddyshack. And he was correct. But the studio is like, no, we're going ahead with or without, pulling. I think that's going to be a a reoccurring statement that we're going to hear many times throughout this show, where basically the studio goes to the original creators and they're like, with or without you, we are doing
This is happening.
Yeah, which is a shame, which is what they could pull off. You know, that's the shitty part about the studio system. You know, they can pull off stuff like that because they have rights to the IP. Right. But there are some things in this world that shouldn't have everlasting IPs. Like, you know, Avatar might be an issue. I don't know if you guys are aware there's a sequel to that. But you know,
I've heard though, yes.
You know, we live in a Disney capital world, so I don't know if you guys are informed. You know.
Yeah.
But speaking of, because we won't get to mention great movies on this show, but I just want to say, Back to School, Rodney Dangerfield, Sam Kinison, Dangerfield, and that scene together. If that would have been a whole movie, like a buddy comedy, that probably would have been the biggest comedy, surpassing Dumb and Dumber, Step Brothers, whatever buddy comedy you could put out there, Hangover. You put Kinison, you put Dangerfield, that one scene is so, I mean, it's gut. I think that's the first time I ever just busted a gut. I think I had a hernia at maybe 10 years old watching that scene. So funny about the whole Vietnam thing. So I just want to give props to Dangerfield because this is a show where we're not going to give many props. Right. So, you know, I just want to make sure, you know, we at least got one prop in somewhere along the way. And Dangerfield was smart. Obviously, man was a genius, but not coming back for Caddyshack II, maybe the greatest career choice in the history of career choices. You know, and a lot of these guys came back. Thank God they had or big names, so they didn't really have to sweat it as much. But you know, I know Dangerfield was still kind of like, is this, you know, because he was older when he got really famous.
Correct. Yeah. He didn't even hit until he was in his 50s. So you know, which in Hollywood terms is already over the hill, quite frankly. So it's funny you say that about Kinison and Dangerfield having such great chemistry. So, you know, that really speaks to the importance of casting and how a small little change in casting can really affect your whole movie for the positive or for the negative in this case. So the lawyer role that's played by Randy Quaid in this movie was supposed to be Sam Kinison.
Oh, that's wow. Yeah. I mean, that could have changed the movie.
Yeah, that's a different movie.
That could have changed the movie.
And as young Dave alluded to, this movie was written to be a Rodney Dangerfield movie. So it was supposed to be Dangerfield and Kinison back together.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known that coming into this podcast right there, because that's a revelation. Yes. I mean, that's a whole, you got Dangerfield, you got Kinison. And guys, this was not, you know, planned or anything. When I said what a great movie Kinison and Dangerfield would have been, I didn't have any of that information right there. And now I'm even more sad, and I hate this movie even more now. This is the worst movie ever made in my book. Just knowing what it could have been, Kinison, Dangerfield, how could that not be a home run?
Yeah. Okay. So now let's get into the plot of Caddyshack II. Okay.
One thing, just kind of going back to Caddyshack with, you know, Dangerfield and all them. Yeah. So like Bill Murray was originally, didn't have any like lines. He was like a small part. Yes. Even Dangerfield was initially supposed to be small. Right. And then was such a big presence. And then just, you know, he's just spitballing. He's just doing his bits. So then his part grew, and Bill Murray was, I think, also, supposed to be this like little part, but then he's so funny and improvising, then his role grew. So all of a sudden you had all these growing roles, and I think like the caddies kind of then took a back seat. So like the Caddyshacks kind of took a back seat to then these guys and then took over.
But, you know, they still were like the mortar, right? And held these big bricks in place. Yeah. You know, and the fact that you had Danny, and like the sort of the driving plot or the driving force of the movie was Danny needing to get a scholarship so he could get out of his situation. So I agree that the caddies certainly weren't the focus of Caddyshack, but they're in there quite a bit, which is why I said, like, I didn't even remember them hardly in it at all. Watching it, no, they're in there. They have their scenes. And then, like you said, these really big presences certainly took over. And they were smart enough to run with it. Like, they're shooting, they're like, this is gold. Because the first rule of a comedy is be funny. Yeah. So if someone is being funny in your comedy, get out of the way and let them be funny. And they were actually smart enough to go, oh, wait, this is way better than what we've got on the page. Let's just let these guys do what they're going to do.
And it felt like just guys having fun. Like watching Caddyshack, you're like, oh, these are comic icons, juggernauts, and they're having fun. Like,
I mean, Murray and Dangerfield are just like a Jordan, Pippen level.
I'm sure behind the scenes is a great comedy. Just the making of watching this getting made, I'm sure would be a hilarious movie as well. Like just getting those icons together, letting them do their thing.
There's a line in this movie that I say off, even though there's some banger lines in this, you know, it looks good on you though. But Bill Murray's brother plays the boss of the caddies.
Correct.
And when there's that fight, they break the gumball machine. He says one little line, I think it's one of the greatest lines of all time. He's like, hey, pick up that blood. So anytime somebody's bleeding, he's like, hey, pick up that blood. I cannot wait to say that. Yeah. I know it means bloodshed, but for some reason I look forward to saying that every time there's blood on the ground, So that's a genius line by Bill. What's Bill Murray's brother's name?
Brian.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, I know, right?
Brian Murray.
Brian Murray.
Were they the original Wilson brothers?
Oh, you're saying as far as one of them like far surpassing the
Bill
others.
really took off huge, and Brian, I don't know if he stayed more behind the scenes or more wrote.
I think he's more of a writer, right? If I remember correct. I've seen
Yes, and he was the co-writer of Caddyshack.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
I've
Bill
seen that.
Murray was not.
All right.
Yes, so Brian Murray definitely does. He is more than like a Clint Howard for sure.
Okay. More Howard brother than a Wilson brother. Gotcha.
So that's Caddyshack, beloved movie. So like we said, Caddyshack II, studio goes to Dangerfield, back to school, big hit. We want to be in the Dangerfield business. And he's like, I want to go back to the shack. So they go to Ramis, take us back to the shack. He said, no. They said, we're doing this without you. Okay, fine, I'll do it. Whatever. They back up the dump truck full of money as Hollywood is wont to do. So Dangerfield sees the script and is like, oh, this is a steaming turd. I am out. Like as soon as he sees the script, he is out. And so that is why the producers recast it with Jackie Mason. Now, once Dangerfield is out, Ramis begs the studio, please kill the project. Like this should be the death knell. And they are like, nope, this train has left the station. It's too late now. We're moving forward. We're just going to replace. So that's why, because when I didn't know any of this context, obviously, when I sat down to watch it. And as I was watching it, I was like, my God, the Jackie Mason character is so close to the Rodney Dangerfield character. Why did they write a different character and have him be also a condo developer, also like a Borscht Belt, vaudevillian comic, also he doesn't fit into the, club. Like basically all the plot notes of Dangerfield's character in the first one, they just picked up and they put Jackie Mason into.
It's a lot of copy and paste in this movie.
A lot. I felt like with the character names, they just like erased the name and they just wrote in a new name. Because Jackie Mason, he is Rodney Dangerfield. Robert Stack, grossly misused in this movie.
Right.
Is just Ted Knight, the judge character, and then we'll get heavily into Dan Aykroyd as kind of replacing the Bill Murray.
Right,
just kind
correct.
of
Where
out the
they
name.
really did just try to find analogs. Like, let's just replace these people as closely as possible. But again, it goes back to, sometimes you just have that lightning in a bottle where just a simple change of casting, which seems fine on paper, yields disastrous results, right? So, we have Jackie Mason, even down to like he uses the wacky golfing gadgets that.
Yeah, it's like Data from Goonies meets Inspector Gadget. Then they also have like this Disney Tron, like 80s Tron.
Right.
It's like graphic just come out onto the golf course. You're like, this is the worst thing ever. It was, that scene just totally was garbage. You figure, because Dangerfield had he had cool gadgets. He had like the boom pops
thing
in the golf bag, I love that. As a kid, sometimes you're like, you got that youthful spirit and you're like, I hope to God that exists when I'm an adult and I'm buying it. And that was one of those things I was like, please, I was like, I can't wait till I get some income, disposable income when I get older. That's gonna be one of my first purchases. Besides the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier, which, that was, back in my day, I was like, oh, that was no way I was getting that as a kid.
The one we have.
Yeah,
we had so many, but not that one.
Well, it was literally
the Grail.
Yeah,
it was 7 feet long.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know what parent bought the USS flag, by the way.
Yeah, I knew a kid, went to my school, he did live in a golf course community. So if that tells you anything about how his parents are rolling, so I got to play with the air, what was it called? The flag?
The flag?
The flag, yes. I got to actually play with that one time and it was,
nice.
It was a Boy Scout trip. We roll into his house. He's got a pool table, fool's ball. He's got this great entertainment room. Kids like silver spoons, Ricky Schroeder. He's living the Schroeder life, So we get out of his basement. I've been hearing about it through school for like a couple months now. He's got the flag. We go down there, and it's just like this glowing light emits from the flag. And to me, as a kid, it's just like, it's like if Lacey Underalls was laying there. You know what I'm saying? Full consent. That's what the flag looked like. It was glorious. And I don't know how we got off on the U.S. flag. We went down, as you would say, not a wormhole, but
a
gopher hole.
Caddyshack. So we're back in the shack.
Bringing it back.
So we'll bring it back to the shack. We'll have a whole separate podcast on our love for the G.I. Joe U.S. flag. Well, that'll be a whole other podcast. Toys we wish we had when we were kids.
Flagcast.
Yeah.
Yes. No, for sure. That one's a banger. Now let's table set the plot of Caddyshack 2. Now, Caddyshack 1 is not very plot heavy, okay? So as far as, is this a movie that you can sequelize? Sure. Because Caddyshack 1, like you said, is just guys goofing off, right? There's goofing off, there's golfing,
You could make 8 of them.
You could make 8 of them. That's what's so baffling to me, is the formula is so simple. I don't know how they screwed the pooch so soon out of the gate. Why aren't there 6 Caddyshack?
Yeah.
And, and you could rotate in different comedians, just, don't suck at it. I think really all right. So their first mistake, other than making the movie, their second mistake was they take this hard R, gross out comedy and they make it PG. Why is Caddyshack 2 PG?
Take out boobs.
Well, and
swearing
and
just all things make great.
There were no boobs in Caddyshack 2.
80s,
we're talking mid to late 80s right here, when that was a given. That wasn't in the movie, it automatically got 2 points taken off. It went from thumbs up to, right here.
That would be like when it was time to make the sequel to American Pie. They're like, great, let's make the sequel to American Pie, but guys, it has to be PG. Did it have anything to do with why would you do that? Why would you make a Caddyshack and force it to be PG? I don't know.
Did it have something to do with time, because we're coming right, I know Caddyshack was what? Early 80s?
80.
Okay, so this is right at the beginning of Reagan. So by the time Caddyshack 2 was, I remember as a little kid, that's when parental advisory stickers came out. That's when PG-13 came out. I think it was either what? Gremlins or Raiders of the Lost Ark? Temple of Doom, thank you.
Yes.
Those are I remember that was a controversy.
Right.
I kept up with the current events as an 8-year-old, I was Tom Brokaw, Dan Rather. I was all about those guys as an 8-year-old, I was sophisticated. I drink my apple juice in a wine glass.
Well, then you would have fit right in at this country club.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I was on Robert Stack. Now, do you think Caddyshack 2 caused the butterfly effect in our, world 666? What Marvel world do we live in? I just gave Satan's world 666.
I don't know.
I know there's some 6s in the Marvel world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in our timeline, was there a butterfly effect where, somebody else, some other universe got the Kinnison and Dangerfield, and it's the greatest comedy of all time? Caddyshack 2 is considered the greatest sequel up there. How we look at Aliens and Judgment Day, that's how they look at Caddyshack 2 in that time. And on our timeline, did the butterfly effect happen to where Robert Stack was a movie star? Caddyshack 2 is so bad, people are like, oh, Robert Stack's done. Let's give him a TV show, but not a narrative TV show, but one about unsolved murders and mysteries. And then we got probably one of the greatest shows of all time, Unsolved Mysteries. When that music kicks in, you're automatically like, oh, I gotta pee, because it scares the piss out of you. That music. So did we live that voice? Oh yeah, it's butter.
Stack voice. The funny thing about Robert Stack is I can't take him seriously as an actor because it sounds like he's announcing the whole time.
He only talks like this.
4 people stabbed to death in a home.
Yeah, no, Jackie Mason, you cannot golf at our golf club.
You are killing Rodney Dangerfield's part.
All right, do we want to walk through at least the plot of this?
I think there's no need. The plot is straight trash. If you want to see the plot to Caddyshack 2, feel free to go to any landfill across the USA, and that's basically what this movie represents. It is a trash heap of what Caddyshack, the OG movie, gave us. It gave us this high arc of comedy sports, and they just trashed it in this sequel. But what do we think about that great? Let me look on the list here. Make sure we don't talk about how great Kenny Loggins is. Is that on this list?
Yes, we haven't gotten to logins. We also need to talk about the reoccurring character, which really there's only one. Well, two if you count the gopher.
Oh, that you got to count the gopher, man.
Counting gopher.
And
Chevy
Kenny
Chase.
Loggins is a legacy character. Kenny Loggins, the greatest soundtrack artist of all time. You know, if any Gen Zs, young millennials, you want to hear the greatest soundtrack artist of all time, Spotify, Kenny Loggins. Apple Music. Am I saying this stuff right? Apple Music. Do you tell kids, yo, go Twitter that? Go
Is
Apple
he on
Music
the TikTok?
that.
I don't know. Is he on the TikTok?
It's on the TikTok. Kenny
Loggins
Loggins
TikTok. You heard it here first.
All right. So, what is the best Kenny Loggins soundtrack?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think it is I'm All Right from Caddyshack.
Oh, really? Okay.
No, I have to go Danger Zone. Danger Zone. The best.
Well, he did in Top Gun because I mean he's got 2 or 3 bangers, right? He's got Danger Zone.
Boys.
Yeah, playing with the boys,
bro.
which is probably the greatest homoerotic scene in the history of cinema. Can we all as straight males agree that's the greatest homoerotic scene in the history of cinema?
All right.
Naked Tom Cruise, half naked Tom Cruise, Val Kilmer, blue jeans, sand, beach, sunny San Diego, right at dusk.
Right. No, it has been claimed by, many LGBT sources as being like a movie that they champion, and especially that scene.
They right so.
I was actually researching Kenny Loggins because he shows up in this movie, and I found a very interesting anecdote. So let's go down this particular gopher hole about how soundtracks used to work in Hollywood. And it pertains to that song you just brought up.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Playing with the Boys.
Wow.
So yeah, there is a Kenny Loggins biography about all these songs that he wrote for movies and stuff. And so, a lot of this is pulled from that. But basically, in the 80s, when soundtracks were kings, the producers would put out a notice to like the songwriters in LA, like, hey, we're making a movie, pitch us songs. And we will screen the movie for you, and you can pitch us like scenes and songs that you would do. And be at the Paramount lot Tuesday at 3:00. We're going to show you Top Gun, the rough cut, and you will pitch us what songs you want to do. So Loggins goes in, he sees that everybody's going for Danger Zone. Now, he didn't write Danger Zone. Danger Zone, Paramount hired someone to write.
Oh, it's heart crushing.
And so there were singers that were pitching themselves to sing Danger Zone, but then they were also like, what else? Here's the movie. What do you want? And so that's why, like, if you look at 80s movies, they're full of like pop music, but not pop music that was ever on the radio. Those were songs that songwriters and singers would come in, watch the movie, and go, I'll write a song for that scene. And so Kenny Loggins said everybody was going for Danger Zone and the opening credits and all that. And he said the volleyball scene struck him as a pivotal plot point. And so he
Struck a lot of people as a pivotal plot point. So I got a feeling.
I got something for you.
He seen the castings and he was like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be gold."
Oh no, I mean, you're watching the
We're playing with the boys.
And so he said, I'll do the volleyball scene, and no one else was pitching the volleyball. So Paramount's like, fine, knock yourself out, do the volleyball scene, and that's how we got Playing with the Boys.
Nice.
And then as he was recording Playing with the Boys, whoever was supposed to do Danger Zone dropped out.
Wouldn't it be sad if it was Sam Kinison?
You're the Danger Zone. Bring it back.
There's a universe where Sam Kinison did Danger Zone.
Where it's Kerry Loggins.
It was apparently the dude from REO Speedwagon.
Oh, that's not bad either.
And then apparently like the guy from Jefferson Starship.
Oh, that would have been a totally different song with I'm not totally basing this on the fact that we have, what's the most god-awful song ever that, I think it's one of the most hated songs of all time.
We Built This City?
We Built This City.
On rock and roll.
I like that song.
Oh my God.
It's catchy. I like it.
All right, there's nothing that says I'm a white guy and the father of two that love me. We built this city on rock and roll.
Look, if you're going to build a city on something, build it on rock and roll.
That's a
Don't
solid
build it on the
foundation,
backs of the poor. Build it on rock and roll.
foundation.
Please.
It's an awful song. It's the least rock and roll song of all time.
So anyway, they drop out for whatever reasons, and Loggins is already rocking.
That's great.
He's impressed them so much with Playing with the Boys that they gave him Danger Zone.
Okay.
I recently re-listened to Playing with the Boys, and I'm like, this song has to be about being gay, right? Like, to quote Seinfeld, not that there's anything wrong with that, but like, this has got to be like his coming out song, right?
Yeah.
Was Kenny Loggins straight or gay?
So I Googled it.
Yeah.
The man is totally straight. And not only that, but he has said numerous times in interviews, he's surprised that people read that from Playing with the Boys.
Yeah, it's just dudes hanging out having fun.
It talks about, in the song, it talks about boys play too rough and your heart gets broken. Those are lyrics from the song, and he is shocked that people actually think that there's anything homoerotic at all about Playing with Boys. So I am fascinated from an anthropological standpoint that someone could accidentally write something so homoerotic.
You think Kenny Loggins never seen the movie? You know, if he thinks that, it's like, you've seen the movie, right?
All right, so anyway, that's the Kenny Loggins wormhole. Now, this one does start off with a Kenny Loggins song, but it's shit.
Yeah, no, this is. This is the best part about Caddyshack 2 is back to the shack, I'm going all the way. Sooner or later, you got to love somebody, which is true in life. You know, these are words you can live by.
Wait, are those lyrics from the song?
Yeah, well, obviously you can't hate the song that much if you don't know those genius lyrics.
Listen.
I'm going all the way.
That's right.
Sooner or later. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then he puts the thing about Kenny Loggins is he's probably the best person at this. He can put a name of the movie in the song.
Okay.
Back to the shack. That's how he starts it out, right?
Okay, so going back, that's why those 80s soundtrack movies like have plot points in the song, because they would go into the studio, they would watch the rough cut, they would write the song to the movie they just watched, and then they'd put that song in the movie.
So that makes a lot of sense going back and talking about Playing with the Boys, because if he's watching, like, I mean, I can see how Kenny Loggins would be like, I'm a straight man, but for some reason, I love everything about this scene, and it's doing special things to my private parts.
So yeah, he wrote that song, I'm Going All the Way. It's all right, but like
It's no, I'm all right.
it's no, I'm all right.
Yeah.
And if anything, it is like a portend of things to come. Like, this song is already such a step down from his song from Caddyshack 1. It's just preparing you for the whole movie to be a dumpster fire, right? And then, of course, it brings in the gopher right away, our reoccurring character doing a Jaws ripoff. And one thing I noticed when it goes into the gopher's burrow hole, what do you call where gophers live? A burrow? Anyway, it is full of things that this gopher has stolen, and he has a stereo set up in his hole.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, let's think about the implications of that. That means this gopher saw a stereo and knew what it was and knew what it could do and wanted to hear human music, and so stole it and knew how to set it up in his burrow, and somehow wired it for electricity, and is now listening to music in his own burrow.
We're on the same path there. I know I got some ideas about that gopher and like what the sequel should have been. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
So yeah, definitely that, you know, obviously this gopher has somehow skipped a few steps in evolution, you know, and because like you said, the gopher was cool from the first one, and he's really, what you say, probably maybe the only thing of redeeming value about Caddyshack 2 is just the gopher. Am I wrong in that? Like the gopher's a legacy character, obviously. And the fact that you're saying that he's got all these, he's figured it out. You know what I'm saying? He's like got his own, like Tom Hanks from Terminal thing going on in the golf course.
Tim, he speaks English.
Yeah, he speaks words.
He speaks words.
Yeah.
Like, there's a scene where John Silver puts down the root beer next to his hole, and he grabs it and says, root beer. So again, this gopher can see things, know what they are, knows the English word for it, and can say it. He says root beer when he pulls down the root beer.
See, I didn't understand that when I was watching it. That's how far tuned out I was, because that's the opening montage to this movie. Shows you how shitty it is a guy running from one point in the golf course to the other point in the golf course to get a root beer on his way back. And the only really obstacle in his way is some people on the driving range, which he runs directly in front of when he could have just simply went around them. So it's like it was lazy writing and execution the whole way through this movie, and you see it right from the get-go. Even though the soundtrack's thumping at the time, you got the gopher, you're like, okay, this might be okay. But when John Silver runs back and forth to get a stupid root beer, and this has to be, you know, shot in Florida, we live in Florida and we never even heard of this root beer brand, you know? So that had to be maybe a northern brand. You remember the name of the root beer?
Obviously, they couldn't get a product placement. So they were
whatever.
made up.
Oh, you think it's a made up root beer? And I'm here like Utz chips, you know?
No. All right. This is just, A&W is like, we're not paying you to be in your film, no.
And that's hard to think that, a movie like, The Power of Caddyshack II couldn't even get a Coke. You know what I'm saying? Like at least
soda sponsor. Yeah, Pepsi was put their name on anything.
everything, Reese's Pieces. They couldn't even get that. So you're saying
why didn't John Silver run across the golf course for a Pepsi?
for a diet root beer even, which is the most god-awful flavor in the whole world.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And she drinks one sip of it. That shows you just how they were saying, how can we be lazy enough to make this character seem like a big asshole right off the bat and have her take one sip of the root beer and immediately drop it down perfectly, I might add. As they didn't spill or anything. And it's just like, I thought that was kind of lazy that this lady was such an asshole. She took one sip and dropped it. It's just like, come on.
Okay, so for those watching or listening who have not watched the movie, which I hope is all of you, this movie's fucking terrible. Don't watch this movie.
Don't watch.
Plot-wise, right. It opens up, there's a group of these young people. There's Jackie Mason's daughter. I can't even remember her character.
She's never been anything.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Career killer.
Killer. There's her, very 80s evil, boyfriend who is the jockey rich guy from 80 movies ever, from every 80s movie ever.
Career killer.
Yeah.
Never seen this guy.
Lane or whatever his name may be.
And then there's the, prissy, rich, blonde, vapid, 80s villain character.
Career killer. Never seen her again.
Oh, you saw her again.
Oh, really?
You might have heard her again. You know who that was?
No.
That was China Phillips. Hold on for one more day. You just didn't recognize her.
I love Wilson Phillips.
You did not recognize her because she had long hair.
I should have checked IMDb.
Hold on for one more day, Tim. That was China Phillips of Wilson Phillips.
Yeah, he had Pop Gold in that movie. Kenny Loggins and Wilson Phillips.
Well, they didn't exist yet. This was before Wilson Phillips was a thing, and she tried to be an actress.
Hey, didn't get into the butterfly effect. There's a universe where China Phillips is a famous actress. And there's no,
we never
hold
get
on for one more day.
That's right. No. So yes, you have heard from her again, Tim.
Okay, maybe Caddyshack 2 is not such a bad thing. Considering we got Wilson Phillips and Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack. So far, two great things have come out of this butterfly effect of a movie.
Oh my God. So anyway, yeah, that's the opening scene. They're together. They want to set up the friction that Jackie Mason's daughter. She's nouveau riche, right? Like she grew up poor, but now her dad's rich, and so these old money rich waspy snobs are like, well, if you want to fit in with us, you gotta join the country club, and your dad has to join the country club. So that is kind of like the impetus of the plot, right? Is we got to get Jackie Mason to join the country club. And yes, so they asked the caddy to go get her a Coke so she can throw it away to show what a bitch she is. The caddy's played by Jonathan Silver, and he is pretty much worthless in this film. And he really only shows up like one more time. Well, two more times. Like, the funny thing about this is like, they don't
I believe it is Johnny Silverman, isn't it? John Silver with the...
Oh, yeah. What am I saying?
Prince calls John. It is Jonathan Silverman, I believe. Prince calling John. This is the Weekend and Bernie's guy, right?
Yeah.
Weekend and Bernie's guy. Yeah. Jonathan Silverman. So he's worthless in this film, and there's like he's the only caddy really in the movie.
He is the only.
In the South,
the token caddy in the beginning. He's the only caddy that shows up the whole movie, and somehow he gets fired and is allowed back on golf course grounds. You know what I'm saying? To show you how lax the '80s were. You just walk back to a job you just recently got fired from and, swing golf clubs while there's a big party going on of influential people.
Right. Yeah, something with the gopher, right? So yeah, it just like made noises in the first one, and now it actually speaks. Voiced by Frank Welker, who did Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime.
So we had Optimus Prime, Robert Stack. Was Hot Rod? I know he also.
You're right.
So we did have some Transformers in this movie.
Gophers transform.
So there could have been a better movie there. Just saying.
That's going to tie in so perfectly with what this sequel should have been.
All right. Save it for the end.
Yeah.
That my mind is blown. So the gopher, which has several lines.
Yeah, there's several lines.
So the first line is root beer.
I was so tuned out in this movie, I didn't realize the gopher talking.
Oh, the gopher and it speaks again.
I actually had subtitles on.
No, the gopher speaks several times. So anyway, that's basically the plot is waspy, teens are trying to get Jackie Mason's daughter to join their country club so she can fit in, with the old money, except her dad is this boorish, nouveau riche guy. Now, one choice that they made with him right off the bat that, again, I didn't quite understand is they go like out of their way to show that he's like a man of the people. He's sitting there playing poker with his...
Folded a full house.
Yeah. He's like playing poker with his guys on his construction site. They're building condos. He's got a winning hand and he purposely folds. And then later, this other lady that works for him is like, why did you fold? I looked at your hand. You were winning. He's like, oh, that guy needs it more than me. It's like, why are we going out of our way to make this character so likable when, again, he's supposed to be Rodney Dangerfield, who is a jerk in the first one. And that's his charm, is he's an asshole. And now with Jackie Mason, we're going out of our way. He's so nice. He's so great. So, the daughter comes to him and she's like, please, let's join, this country club. It'll help me fit in with my friends and my boyfriend and whatever. And so he's like, okay, sure. So he goes and he fits in, or he goes to try to fit in with them. But of course, they don't like him. They reject him. And that's basically the plot of the movie is them just saying, you can't, you can't golf here. Yes, I can. It's like
very... And he wants to build affordable housing, right? Isn't that also to tie in with the charm? Like, oh, see, he's not just evil landowner builder. He's, making for the little person.
Right. Yeah. Right. So
affordable, not just the rich.
Yes. And not only does Robert Stack and his waspy wife try to stop him from joining the golf course, but they're also the same people that are trying to stop him from developing his affordable housing in their neighborhood, right? Because they're not in my backyard. Yeah. You're not putting those affordable condos in my backyard, which is funny because he's like this new billionaire or whatever. And he's like, I make my money building affordable houses for the people. Yeah. I remember watching this movie going, that's a terrible business.
Yeah.
No one makes money building.
This guy's no Elon Musk.
He's no Elon Musk. All right, someone needs to sit him down and say, no. You either build McMansions or you're a slumlord. That's how you make money in real estate. Do not build for the middle class.
And it's just like, they have that whole scene where when Dangerfield and Caddyshack, kind of build some enemies besides playing loud music on the golf course, is at the dance. He pisses everybody off in that building, the rich people, heck, even the chef back there. Hey, this is low-grade dog food. And the chef gets which is so hilarious. And it's just like they copied and pasted so much that when Jackie Mason makes enemies, it's at the same dance, gala, whatever they want to call it. Yes. It's just like so copy and paste. You're just like, this is like the dollar store version of Caddyshack all the way through, and I hated the scene. It was horrible. They even had a slave auction, right? Which is something you couldn't do nowadays.
That was very
things you could only do in the 80s.
Yeah. So I was getting to the auction. So basically, we have a couple scenes of him trying to fit in. They take him horseback riding and... Robert Stack falls off his horse and gets his comeuppance or whatever. And
the farting horse.
Yeah.
The horse farts. Trying to be funny. Fart humor is always hilarious, but for some reason it just fell flat.
It didn't even work in this one.
That's how you can't pull off a fart joke. Yeah, that's a bad thing. So anyway, there's like a series of these scenes of him like trying to fit in or whatever, and then we finally get to the dance. And, they basically tell him, hey, we have talked and we don't want you, in our club and you don't fit here, get out of here. And so they kick him out. And then in that same gala, it then goes to the auction scene. So they've already told him, you are not going to be a member of our club. We want you out of here. We all agree. And he's just kind of skulking at the bar. And they're like, okay, well, now that we've got that unpleasantness out of the way, let's have a slave auction. Which obviously they are just setting up to be a plot point. But I actually have a note.
It's almost like Get Out before Get Out. There's a lot of these Eat the Rich movies coming out. And it's almost like, this is kind of like, probably be a prequel to Get Out.
They're definitely trying to go with this Eat the Rich vibe, but it's so weird that they would choose Jackie Mason to be that analog because he's rich in the movie.
How much better would that been if it was that Richard Pryor in that part right there with the slave auction? That could have taken the comedy level up 20 notches. Or maybe even Sam Kinison, you know, a very liberal, preachy guy who was a former preacher, you know, kind of, you know, turned to 180 later in life. So I think how much funnier that would have been to say as a Sam Kinison or a Dangerfield right there in that scene. It just falls flat. A slave auction, you know, he buys all the rich people.
Let's set this up. Let's set this up for the viewers. So we're at this dance, gala, party, whatever. They just tell Jackie Mason, you're not allowed to be in our club because you're new rich and you're, you know, you just don't cut it. You don't just fit in. So he's skulking at the bar. So then they say, okay, we're going to have a slave auction, which already, like you said, is like, wait, what is that? And so they explain that basically like all the rich, you know, members of the club are going to auction themselves off. So it's kind of like a bachelor auction for charity, except instead of going on a date with this person, they will, you know, perform one task.
And they explain it as making a martini for you at the end of a long day. Yeah. That's how they explain it. Like, yeah, that's like the most, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like most underwhelming job performance you're ever going to have.
Of course. Yeah. No, I mean, you know, it's supposed to be very perfunctory, very, you know, this is just ceremonious, an excuse to give some money for charity, whatever. So they have the slave auction where, you know, yeah, you buy a slave for a day. And so Jackie Mason, he hasn't left yet. And so, you know, they bring the first lady up and it's Robert Stack's wife. And he is now bidding. Robert Stack, of course, he bids it up to like $100. He's impressed. Oh, $100.
And he was tentative about doing the $100.
Well, okay, so that's the point I'm about to make. And that is
kind of an Ebenezer when it came to that money, right?
So this is what's so weird about this scene. I mean, there's a lot weird about this scene, but this in particular. So they're having this charity auction, and yeah, Jackie Mason starts bidding against Robert Stack, and as soon as it crosses like $100, Robert Stack is like, "Whoa, this is getting pretty intense," and it's like, wait, you're rich. The whole point of this movie is you go to a very rich country club and you're sweating $100. And then, you know, it gets to 200 and he's sweating bullets, and 500. And finally, Jackie Mason beats him at $1,000.
$1,000.
And the wife looks at him like, aren't you going to bid more? And he's like, oh, I'm all tapped out at $1,000. And I'm sitting there watching it going, this is the rich person country club.
Yeah.
Now, in Caddyshack 1, there was a bet between Ted Knight and Rodney Dangerfield, just a bet, right? A gentleman's bet on golfing. It got up to $40,000, this gentleman's bet between these two guys about a golf game. And that is the type of person that I could see at this country club, the kind of guy that's going to bet $40,000 on a round of golf. Here you got Robert Stack sweating $1,000, and it's this guy that he just told off bidding on his wife to be a slave for a day. And he's like, no, dude, I can't.
His very pretty saber-toothed wife. I mean, she is a good-looking golden girl. Let's just put it like that. You know, she's not too shabby for a woman of her age. Maybe that's a toxic word to use, not too shabby. She's a beautiful woman, you know, a beautiful woman. And it's just like, I mean, and the funny part is he buys everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, he ends up buying all the rich people. So these rich people collectively,
I think he got the 4,000, right? He got everybody for 4,000.
Each 13, right?
Oh, 13,000. All right.
It wasn't 1,000 per person, pretty much.
And he bought like a dozen of them.
Oh, that's right. They come back and use that joke later when the lady from Night Court, I believe, the TV show she was in. Yeah, when she, asking him, how much do you pay for this? He goes, oh, 13,000. Yeah. Because he's trying to do his generic Rodney Dangerfield. Yeah. And so, she's like, oh, you got ripped off. And that is kind of like, it took 17 minutes because I really counted from the get-go of when I first laughed. And the first time I laughed was 17 minutes, 11 seconds in when Chevy Chase sits down in the lap of the old guy sleeping, which is kind of like the recurring joke, that guy's always sleeping in the background. Right. It is kind of cute and funny, but that was a kind of a scene like, again, different casting. That could have been a 10 times 1,000 better scene in that movie when everybody has to do day labor work.
Right. Yeah. So that is of course, the payoff to he buys them all at this, charity auction. They're slaves for a day. And so what does he do? He brings them to his construction site and makes them do actual physical
labor. Day labor work. Yeah. They're building those condoms.
They are wheelbarrowing sacks of cement through. And so I'm sitting there going, yeah, no, there's no way these rich people would have been like, well, you won the auction, so I guess I'll give me the wheelbarrow. And so they're sitting there, and of course they're all dressed up in their nice clothes, and And, and then Roz from Night Court is like, wait, Jackie Mason, why are you doing this? And he's like, well, I just want to show these guys what an honest day's labor looks like. And these are the type of people that are going to be living in these condos. And I'm just like, why? Why are you being
And they try to have Robert Stack's character be determined that he was going to get through this day, which kind of gives you the reason like, oh, that's why these folks are sticking around to stick it back to him, that they can do the work. And then there's just that reoccurring joke of like, how many people fell into like a dumpster, a moving padded truck,
Right.
Just like that got old after the first time.
Yeah.
They went back to that joke 3 different times, I think, in that one scene. And, it never landed either time. It was horrible. Now, that's another scene where, you have Richard Pryor in there at some point. So the Jackie Mason character, you're doing slave auctions and stuff like that. And you could add some kind of Root callback, because Roots was popular back then. You could add some kind of, or, he's trying to change the name of Roger Stack's character, You could have had 1,000 things there if you had Pryor in that role. That would have been 10,000 times more funny. Just think if you had Dangerfield, Kinnison, Pryor in a movie, how big of a home run that would have been.
Well, it just goes back to this really could have been a franchise where you just cycle through, comics.
Next batch of comedy.
Whoever is thrown in at the moment, and they go golfing and hilarity ensues. So it's so wild that they screwed the pooch so bad so early out of the gate. But yes, could have had Pryor, they could have had George Carlin. They could have.
Carlin would have been great.
Yeah, there's so many 80s comedians.
I wonder how many people turned this down until they got to Jackie Mason.
They went after Mason.
Oh, they went after Mason. He was choice number 2 to Dangerfield.
Yes, they were proud they got okay. They were like, you got Jackie Mason. That's a consolation prize.
Oh, yeah. No, when they couldn't get Dangerfield, they went.
So they were like Volrak, king of the castle. That's with Jackie Mason.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no, they sure did. So just real quick to chug on through this terrible, terrible plot, because in my notes, I said the movie really starts at 1 hour. Okay, because here's what happens at 1 hour into this movie. So basically the first hour of this movie is just, I want to be in your club. No, Jackie Mason, you can't be in our club. Please, I should be in it. No, you can't be in our club. There is an hour of that. There's an hour of that, people. Finally, after an hour, he goes to Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase being the only other reoccurring character in this movie besides the gopher from the first one. And he goes to Chevy Chase and he's like, I want to buy this golf course and develop condos on it, which is actually what Rodney Dangerfield
copy-paste
said in the first one, which is why the Rodney Dangerfield character showed up in the first one. Is he was really just there. He said, I want to survey, see what's going on, because I'm thinking about buying the land and turning it into condo. So then he goes to Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase's father was the co-founder of the club with Ted Knight's character. Ted Knight is dead, so Chevy Chase now has controlling interest. Jackie Mason's like, let me buy the golf course from you, and so he does. And so to me, this is where the movie starts. And then what does he do? He immediately turns it into Jackie's wacky golf world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he turns it into a mini golf course, which makes no sense because it is a golf course. Like, why would you build a mini golf course on top of a golf course? But then he also
on the verge of being Action Park in New Jersey right here. This is probably not a safe place to bring your kids.
Oh, no.
Because they're hitting 5-irons at 2 of those Holland German girls at the windmill. It's like you can conk one of those ladies in the head with a 5-iron golf ball going at 100 miles per hour. Nobody seemed to care about safety.
Right. And if you look, they've got like carnival rides like on the greens. Like you're golfing around.
That's killing that grass.
Yeah. You're golfing around these carnival
You're doing drives on a water slide where you hit a kid's head. It's unreal.
Yeah, he's got mascots, these women dressed as golf balls walking around. With like it's wacky. It's wacky. Jackie's wacky golf world.
I mean, I wouldn't mind going to it though after a certain,
Okay, so here's my next note, which I don't understand, and that is for some reason, the rich snobby people keep golfing there, and they keep getting upset, like, these
are like he built it in a day because they're like, it doesn't look so bad here. They open the door, it's just like Disney World all of a sudden just sprouted up.
But my point is, so let's say you like to golf at a particular golf course, and one day you arrive, and that golf course has now been littered with carnival rides and mini golf and all this other crazy stuff. Wouldn't you take your bag and go home and go golf somewhere else? Instead, in this movie, in the logic of this movie, the rich people golf in this golf course, and then they just shake their fist going, oh, this isn't how golf is supposed to be. It's like, yes, that is correct. This is not how golf is supposed to be. Go to a real golf course. This is not a golf course anymore. And so there's this whole tension of the rich people want to keep golfing because it's their golf course, but now there's carnival rides. And so now we go through that. So Roger Stack has the genius plan of, I know how we can solve this problem. I'm going to hire an assassin and have him kill Jack Mason.
I feel so bad. I feel so bad for Aykroyd in this movie. I feel so
We need to talk about Aykroyd.
So going into this, I thought Aykroyd was going to be the new groundskeeper fighting the gopher.
And on the cover of the VHS box, he kind of like had this commando. Arnold Schwarzenegger commando vibe. Be like, yeah, Aykroyd's going to play a badass.
Yeah, and he's going to be the guy fighting the gopher because Bill Murray did not. No, that is not at all his role in this. Dan Aykroyd was hired to murder Jackie Mason because that will stop Jackie's Wacky Golf World or whatever it's called. And Dan Aykroyd is making some choices in this movie. He is making some very strange acting choices. How would you describe his affect?
Yeah, I mean, as I was watching, I was like, "What in the simple Jack is this?" From Tropic Thunder. I was what? It was very cringy to watch. I felt embarrassed for Dan Aykroyd watching this performance. It was terrible. I did not know what was going on.
Right. So for the viewers and listeners at home, if you've ever seen the movie Galaxy Quest, like the aliens in Galaxy Quest, and the way they talk like this, that is Dan Aykroyd throughout this entire movie.
I thought he was like Tom Cruise from Born on 4th of July because he plays a Vietnam vet, but instead of getting paralyzed, he has constant constipation. That's why his voice sounded like he was constantly constipated.
So I did research. Do you know who he is in fact impersonating?
Oh wow, is this going to be as good as the Kinnison one?
Yeah, just a weird choice.
Don't blow my mind.
Just a weird choice. So Dan Aykroyd, you got to remember the year is 1988, and this was all over the news at the time, and he must have been watching the news, and it stuck with him. He is doing an impersonation of Oliver North.
Wow,
testifying in front of
that's so obscure.
That's what he's
for
doing.
88.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what Dan Aykroyd said he was doing.
This movie's aimed at, preteens, teenagers.
Right.
And doing the Ollie North thing back then, even though everybody knew who Ollie North was, nobody knew he was doing that voice, right?
And I've seen footage of him testifying. He does not talk like this.
I'm going to get him for you, sir.
Yeah.
For our younger viewers, what was the Ollie North case?
Iran-Contra.
There we go.
They sold weapons. Believe it or not, the American government does shady things like sell weapons to people who will eventually fight in a war.
What are you talking about?
We pulled out of Afghanistan, left billions of dollars in warfare equipment, and then now we have the most highly sophisticated terrorist group in the world in Afghanistan after we pulled out. So just saying, the American government keeps doing what the American government does. But back to Caddyshack II.
So Dan Aykroyd in 1988 gets tapped to play this, commando guy, and he's like, I'll be very current and topical. I'll do an Ollie North impression, and that is that weird, strange affect that he
doesn't land. How can somebody not tell him that doesn't land?
It doesn't land at all. That's a great way of putting it. So I was embarrassed for him. And I love Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd's hilarious.
Thank God he was already established, because that would have been a career. If that would have been his first movie, career killer.
I didn't understand how or why he was in it, because it was 88, so we're talking post Ghostbusters. He's already a big name. Harold Ramis had already dropped out at this point, so it's not even like, well, all right, I'm doing this for I don't know why he was in this. Just check cleared. Just a ton of money in Coke. Here's a pile of money in Coke. Is he half of that $20 million budget? Is it to get Dan Aykroyd?
Oh, I hope not.
And Jackie Mason?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it probably was a big payday for him because, again, the producers were after, the closest analog to each missing piece. And I could see where they'd be like, Dan Aykroyd would be pretty close to Bill Murray. If you can't get Bill Murray,
you can get Dan Aykroyd.
You could get Dan Aykroyd. And I think he should have played him like he played the guy from Dragnet, just super,
Or the assassin from Grosse Point Blank, which is highly underrated Aykroyd stuff.
Yeah, yes, he should have been very expert.
He's dangerous in
He's a
those. You know what I'm saying?
scientist.
Yeah. He has a dangerous feel in those movies. It's kind of what you need right there.
confident.
Yeah.
And I think that
This guy was an idiot from the get-go. The worst food truck ever. You know, there's no way this food truck is past any kind of health code. You know, it's horrible.
It's very bizarre. And so right off the bat, he's a very inept assassin. He plants a car bomb in Jackie Mason's car, but haha, joke. It actually is the exact same make, model, and color as Robert Stack's car. And so he ends up blowing up Robert Stack's car instead of Jackie
You seen that
Mason's
joke
car.
coming from a mile away. As soon as he pulled in, I was like, yeah, this on.
Yeah.
I know what's happening here.
And so his big plan, so we'll get to his big assassination plan here in a moment. So basically, now to try to kind of parallel back the plot of Caddyshack 1. So Caddyshack 1 ends with a bet. And it's just a bet between Ted Knight and Rodney Dangerfield for eventually $40,000. And they're just betting on golf. And that kind of becomes the driving force of the third act. So again, to copy paste, they wanted to make a bet on golf become the driving force of the third act of this movie. And so
they're rehashing the plot from the first movie.
And so the plot device that they used is they come up with Robert Stack and Jackie Mason are betting that they're going to play golf, teams, partners golf, and whoever wins. If it's Robert Stack who wins, Jackie Mason has to leave and turn the golf course back into a real
And Jackie Mason has no golf experience whatsoever.
Correct. And if Jackie Mason wins, then what happens? Like, why is he playing again? That's what I don't understand. He already owns the golf course. Like, what's he gambling here?
I think he gives them back their golf course and he gives them back the land for.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. God, I forgot the whole subplot. Yes. So Robert Stack, as we said, he and his wife did
everything. Everybody's all in on this.
No. That's what it is. So Robert Stack and his wife, in the beginning, I said, were opposed to Jackie Mason building condos in their neighborhood, and they had gone to the city council and they had blocked the construction of the condos, not on the golf course. It was a different project, but they had blocked it. So that was it. They were gambling where if Mason wins, they will, rescind their objections. And
he had everything to lose at this point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, really.
Yeah,
I mean, for a guy who didn't know how to play golf.
Yeah, he really put all his chips on red on this.
Pretty high for him. Yeah.
Yeah, they say, okay, we'll golf for it. If I win, you let me build my condos. If you win, I'll put the golf course back the way it was and I'll leave. And so that's the big third act. And so Robert Stack is like, yes, I accept these terms because I've hired Dan Aykroyd to kill you.
Yeah.
And for some reason...
He really needed it, though.
Right. And so for some reason, Dan Aykroyd's big plan of how he's going to carry off this assassination isn't, I'm just going to hide in the bushes with a sniper rifle. It's, I'm going to have an exploding golf ball, because it's a golfing movie.
Yeah, so you got to work that in.
And I'm going to hit the exploding golf ball into, Jackie Mason and blow him up.
Was that what it was?
Yes.
That's horrible.
You don't remember?
That's those who didn't know this. I tried to watch this movie twice, everybody. I apologize ahead of time, but I fell asleep twice. First time in the beginning of the movie and watched kind of like the end, and then the second time I watched the beginning, fell asleep at the end. That's how bad this movie is.
Wait, wasn't it supposed to be the ball gets replaced and then Jackie Mason would swing and then he would just explode?
I think that makes more sense, right? Because nothing in this movie makes sense.
No, but
pops up.
Well, then that's plot in the first movie because they would have copied paste.
He's showing it off because he golfs it into the watermelon and he blows up the watermelon.
Right. He precision that watermelon. I do remember that.
Yeah, no, he's like, I will hit it into Jackie Mason.
Oh, okay.
No, what you're saying makes sense.
Oh, okay.
That's how it should have been.
Yeah.
It should have been, I will replace his golf ball with a golf ball that will blow up, and then we'll all stand back, and he'll hit it,
just explode.
and he'll explode.
Which would have been a better recasting if they had Gallagher in that part.
Which, okay, at least that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, it is, I have an exploding golf ball. I'm going to be like 100 yards away. I'm going to hit the golf ball, and it's going to hit Jackie Mason, and it's going to blow him up.
Wow.
That was the assassination. And then if that doesn't work, I've got these poisoned arrows. Yeah. It's like, just use a sniper rifle. You were in the war, man. Yeah. So anyway, that's his big plan.
People are still sensitive over JFK at this point. You know what I'm saying?
This is
Hashtag too soon.
People still say, yeah,
24 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, he ends up, Dan Aykroyd accidentally shooting himself with a poison arrow. Yeah. And we'll get to this in a moment because it's the big punchline in the end. And then the gopher steals the exploding ball and then puts it in front of Robert Stack. Because again, this gopher is aware of this bet, apparently, is aware that that golf ball will explode, and is aware that if I put this golf ball next to Robert Stack, it will blow him up. So this gopher has all of this figured out. The gopher steals the ball, puts it in front of Robert Stack. It's one of those things where, again, very going back to the first movie, right? Where the final shot, golf shot, not movie shot, but the final shot of the movie, Danny does not make it, but then there's an explosion and he does. This is the same thing where the golf ball blows up and it knocks in the ball and they win. And so now they're happy.
Isn't it crazy that for a movie that needed an 80 montage, that this should have been the movie to have one? Because the training session with Jackie Mason learning how to play golf from Ty Webb and Jonathan Silverman's character is like the worst training session you ever seen in your life for something that needed another Kenny Loggins banger,
moment.
You know,
Perfect
with
for a
him
Kenny
training,
Loggins
would have been this movie.
Golfing with the boys.
Golfing with the boys. They're all shirtless, golf clothes.
Watch that.
Oh, who wrote this script? Somebody at the flea market? They hire like a guy at the flea market to write this script because it's so.
It's Harold Ramis, but he says that they came after him and
get that money, Harold Ramis. Hope he got that money.
Rewrote it.
Yeah.
No, it was written by Harold.
He just copied. He mailed it in, guys.
No, he
mailed it in,
dude.
He very much mailed it in. And so anyway, that last payoff that I was going to say, the joke at the end is, Dan Aykroyd shot himself in the ass with a poisoned arrow. And then is it Chevy Chase? Who is it who he asked to suck the poison out of his ass?
Is it Chevy Chase?
It's Chevy Chase, right?
Right.
Because they got to justify his paycheck. Because he made like an ungodly amount to appear this movie. They're like, look, just let us make a suck poison out of an ass joke with you. And he's like, oh, I don't know about that or whatever. Then, credits roll. But before credits roll, there is one more thing that I have to point out. And that is this. So in the end, everyone's celebrating, right? Jackie Mason wins. I guess that means that the golf course is going to stay as Jackie's Wacky Golf Land, and everyone's pleased about that, whatever. And there's a poodle, and it's like jumping up and down in joy, and the gopher sees it, and the gopher, I can't remember what it says. It says something in English. The gopher basically says, I'm going to fuck that poodle.
Yeah.
And that's how the movie ends. The movie ends with the gopher concluding that it wants to have interspecies sex with the poodle. Roll credits.
Great. They should have saved that for an end credit. You know what I'm saying?
That is
before the days of end credits. But yeah, this is. So what's our next one? We're going to talk about where the sequel should have gone.
Before that, the next segment of the show is, of course, were there any follow-ups? And the answer is no.
Thank God. This movie, trust me, this movie killed any possible chance of a Caddyshack 3 ever existing.
Which is a shame because it should have been a no-brainer. This should have been very easy to franchise, and yet, no, it killed everything. So, that being said, what should the Caddyshack 2 sequel have been? It seems like you've got a hot take.
Oh, yeah. Now, there's a plot point in the first one and the second one, like they said, copy and paste movie. First one, golf carts were being invented at this time. You seem like they already should have been there, but, why would you have a Caddyshack if there's golf carts? So, golf carts are taken over in the first one. You might have to get rid of the caddies. And, guess what? Very first scene, guess what they mentioned? We're going to get golf carts to replace you, so your days are numbered. Now, okay, we figured out that gophers are highly evolving in this world. You know what I'm saying? A record setting, they have surpassed
They are
raccoons.
evolving at an alarming rate.
They're taking over.
Yeah, whatever toxicity is drinking out of this Florida water, you know what I'm saying?
They will be the dominant life on this planet.
Oh, yeah, it's
within
heading
a few
there.
hundred years.
So I'm thinking somehow they have invented cyborg caddies golf carts. You know what I'm saying? There's a golf cart
like
caddy.
a transformer where the golf cart
Sideboard.
is the caddy.
Yeah.
Like they
Or more like
Peter Murphy from RoboCop. You know what I'm saying? Like somehow a caddy has gotten mangled by machinery. They figure out a way to put him together to outsurpass golf carts and caddies. It's a robo caddy. You know what I'm saying?
This sounds like some Cronenbergian nightmare.
Well, trust me, it's better than Caddyshack II. All right,
With enough
more
cocaine,
people want
that
to
could've
see
been
this
made.
movie. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I have a feeling that Caddyshack II Robo Caddy would have been a bigger hit.
And that's hilarious because it was actually the year after RoboCop, which was a big hit.
Yeah.
So
They missed a golden opportunity. Just instead of stealing from the first one, just steal from RoboCop, Robo Caddy. And the only thing that could save humanity from Robo Caddies taking over, the gophers.
Jesus Christ.
Because obviously they can speak, they can communicate, and they can build. They know how to use sophisticated weaponry, as the gophers have proven.
Explosives and-
Explosives, weapons. So I mean, that's only man's saving hope. Is almost like Rocket Raccoon, except Gopher and Robo Caddy. Gopher save humanity.
Who do we want to win that?
Yeah.
Like who, as humanity, do we want?
I feel like gophers are easy to work with. I feel like they're very diplomatic. You know,
I feel
we
like
let them
they
burrow their
will
holes.
become our rodent overlords.
Yeah.
Like I said, within a few hundred years.
Better than Robo Caddies. You want T1000s or you want gophers? You know, but where do you think you'll get more justice from? A machine that never stops, or another life form that needs to love, eat, and sleep just like you do?
I got to admit, Tim, when we came up with the segment of what would you do as a sequel, I was not expecting RoboCat.
Yeah.
You went off with
Caddyshack II, Robo Caddy.
I'd watch it though. So I mean,
They got a little bit of bigger
more
hit.
watchable than what we
Hollywood
have.
run with it. All right,
Caddyshack.
that would have been a better sequel than
Zack
what we
Snyder, run with it. I want Zack Snyder to direct
Caddyverse.
Caddyshack 3 Robo Caddy.
got. The Caddyverse.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you kind of definitely touched on what my idea would have been as well, which is, yes, they hinted at it in the first movie, like, hey, caddies, if you don't get your acts together, then we're going to replace you all with golf carts. So, of course, making Caddyshack 2, yep, that's what you do. You make it about the caddies trying to prove their worth. Don't replace us with golf carts. You definitely bring in caddies as more of a central plot. I think what they should have done is brought in a comedian, once Dangerfield was out, of course. I mentioned George Carlin because I think they could have gone in a completely different direction in that I think they should have done something where, like, someone inherits the golf course who's not rich and doesn't want it. And that's where, like, you've got a George Carlin character. He's like the brother of Ted Knight or whatever. And Ted Knight dies and leaves his controlling share to
That's good.
like someone who, like, has no business running a golf course, doesn't want it. And then it becomes about, like, the rich and snooty people trying to convince him, no, let us have our course. And he wants to open up the golf course to just anybody who will pay $50 for a round of golf. And they're like, what? No. So I think having those two parallel plots going, and then really just using that as a very loose framework for comedians to be funny, that's how I would have approached Caddyshack 2. Dave, can you top Robo?
I mean, I can't top that, but I mean, I think, look, we're in the 80s, late 80s. I think they could have gone horror movie style.
Oh my God.
Instead of camp counselors, it's caddies. And
They get picked off
when they get picked off one by one.
Wow.
Maybe it's Bill Murray's character. I don't know.
No, Joe Schmel's nephew returns.
But yeah, I feel like someone could have come back and start picking them off one by one.
Hey, it's the Dance of the Dead. Could have been a zombie movie. Hey.
All right. Any of these ideas would have made a much better film than.
I kind of like Caddyshack the 13th. It's not that point, yeah. Caddyween.
It could have worked.
Yeah.
Could have
Nightmare on Caddy Street.
worked.
And so with that, that's Caddyshack 2.
Oh, this show's over?
I mean, I don't really know what else we could.
I mean, how long do we go? I
possibly
feel
say.
like we talked way more than anybody ever should about Caddyshack 2.
I don't know what else there is to say.
We
about
set the record on anybody talking about Caddyshack 2.
Listen,
Is the podcast longer than Caddyshack 2?
I don't know, but I
What
will say
butterfly
this.
effect will happen because of this podcast?
Yes. Will the third get made?
I love movies and I love shitty movies. This is not
It's
an
not
enjoyable.
endearing, though. It'll never be a cult
no,
classic.
it's terrible, yeah.
Never be now. Maybe future podcasts you might say, "Oh, this has the potential to be a cult classic." Maybe we should throw that into the pot. This movie has no redeeming values whatsoever.
So you know how the Library of Congress has like a film preservation list
Yes.
where they will enter movies into the Library of Congress? they should also have a film deletion list where like Congress passes an act like saying
Yeah,
this movie should not exist.
More sensitive.
Yeah, like you could take the negatives, need to get thrown as
we
burn,
must
burn
burn
the
the
negatives.
And that is what should happen with Caddyshack 2. I'm serious, people don't even like ironically watch it.
No,
It's just not
you're wasting your time.
So that is our verdict. Caddyshack 2 is a sequel that is not.
No.
Not even close. Not even close.
So thank you so much for listening to us. If you listen to us on a podcast or watching us on YouTube, we will be back next week with another sequel that is not equal.
Oh, God help us.
Yeah.
Be so